Hi, this is Alicia Shepard. I'm NPR's Ombudsman. We're trying a new feature here where we're going to have a conversation or an Ombudsversation about a journalistic issue. Today's issue was brought to me by Jason DeRose, an NPR editor. He asked me whether it was okay for an NPR journalist to participate in a gay pride parade. Well, it'd be easy to tell Jason, no, you can't participate in a parade or a rally or a march, say against Prop 8, which is the California proposition that bans gays and lesbians from marrying. But participating in a gay pride parade is a little different. It's a gray area because gay pride parades are about identity. So we're going to hear from professionals inside and outside of NPR.
For me, that kind of event didn't cross the line as would, say, an anti-this rally or a pro-that rally, where from its get-go, from its title, it is taking a particular position on a particular issue. And in that case, our code of ethics is pretty clear about whether or not you can participate or not. What I said to them was, if you see that this event is taking on a very distinctly different tone than what you're describing and what your experience has been, then I'm going to ask you to use your best judgment as journalists and to step away. I like to just remind people that everything they write, everything they do, they should assume that people will interpret it as NPR, if you're an NPR journalist, whether you intend it or not. That an email is not a private document, that when you are out in public, you are NPR, even if that's not a fair assumption to make. And that you need to be conscious of how you present yourself in terms of how it reflects on NPR.
I think when something is a particularly hot issue like that, then it becomes sort of a different thing. Even if it is a St. Patrick's Day parade, if there's some intense political aspect to it in a particular context, a little St. Patrick's Day parade in the Midwest might be different from a St. Patrick's Day parade in Washington with a specific agenda, and they go past the British Embassy or whatever. I mean, again, it's an issue of context, and I think it is possible that one might argue that in light of what's happening in California, how much in the news it is, the whole battles over Prop 8, the fact that you are not entirely sure what's going to happen within the parade route, given that context in that place at this time, I would tend to say that journalists probably shouldn't participate. If I had a reporter or journalist ask me that question in California at this time, I would probably recommend go to the Pride event, but stay on the sidelines and watch the parade. To me, there's a distinction there. You can go and just be on the sidelines, but to actually march in the event that you can't fully control, maybe that gets a little closer to dicey to me.
My role as a political editor, and I think my role as a journalist, is that we should be honest brokers about the political system. And I don't think you can do that if you're wearing a campaign button or have a lawn sign or a bumper sticker or you march in a parade. Marching for gay rights or civil rights, which is basically the same thing, is not the same as an Obama rally or a McCain rally. But it's still, it is a political hot button. I mean, maybe in 50 years from now, we'll be laughing at this whole thing and then it won't matter. But for right now, it is still a political issue. Candidates run and win and lose on issues like this, and it becomes political, and I just stay away from it.
Sometimes those rallies have a distinct political overtone. They're meant to support certain legislation or certain civil rights that are very controversial. And I think when journalists get involved in those events, they are likely to run afoul of conflict of interest policies. But for the most part, if it's just a gay pride parade where you're saying, hey, I'm proud to be gay, I don't necessarily see a problem with that. If you're an editor, you don't say to a journalist, well, you can't participate in these parades. What you say is, here's our policy on political statements. And if you violate this policy, we have to isolate you from covering the issues that you have made a political statement on. And if you have too many issues that you're isolated from, your value to us as a journalist diminishes, and therefore your job is in jeopardy.
I think there are ways of doing it without sacrificing your objectivity. Personally, I wouldn't feel comfortable marching with a group whose main purpose is, for example, trying to overturn Prop 8. I would feel perfectly fine, on the other hand, marching with a group square dancers or with my employer or with another business group. So I think there are ways of participating that doesn't impact your real or perceived objectivity.
I hope you found that edifying. Here are some other perspectives. The Salt Lake City Tribune will not let its staffers march in parades, period. Its reader's rep, Connie Coyne, told me, "Our philosophy is that their public parading could be construed as an endorsement of the parade and everything that appears in it." At Le Monde, the Ombudsman said the right to protect a French citizen's private life is considered sacred. Quote, "So there would be not any problem participating in a gay pride parade, provided the journalist isn't covering the event." At the Cleveland Plain Dealer, it was the same thing. There would be no opposition to participating in such a parade, and it was said, "If I were an editor, I'd have a hard time ordering someone else not to march." So what do I think? Well, for me personally, as a journalist, I'd stay away from any event that had political overtones. But I also understand that journalists are human beings and they have attachments to issues and organizations outside of work. I think one of the hallmarks of good ethical decision-making is to look for alternatives. And I think David Steinberg did just that. And so did Jason DeRose, by the way, who marched in the Gay Pride Parade in Los Angeles with his congregation at the St. Paul Lutheran Church in Santa Monica. Hope you've enjoyed this. Please feel free to comment. Thanks.